Oh, look at that.
Cool, cool,
We're here.
cool.
We've
I'll
arrived at the
pull.
Splatterthon finale.
I'll pull everything together here in just a minute. I'm just
I'm
gonna put the
announcing I am
graphics in.
leaving Splattercast.
You're serious?
Yes.
God damn
Starting Splatter Ass
it. Splatter ass.
officially.
One of our best comments. Still.
It's a hot take there, Splatter Ass.
I know that guy was so brutal.
He's vicious. The Black Phone Watchalong / giveaway. I'm gonna miss these colors for a while.
I know, I like the colors a lot.
It's a good color scheme. Let's make these the Sunday Scaries.
I'd be fine with that if you want.
Absolutely. If that's an option, I would say let's redo it and
Because we could always change colors for next year.
This is true.
Because like next year, I'd like to do that live intro and stuff like that.
Yeah. That sounds perfection to me.
Okay, let me see here. Get rid of that.
Mm-hmm.
Wheel of random names.
Come on, sir. I gotta watch Ethan Hawke grab some kids.
There's our one viewer, that's me. I just gotta...
Let's do a watch along for Monday Night Raw so then I can just make harsh comments about WBE.
just get rip into them for ripping down the video.
Like, unbelievable.
That's how you do it right there. Give them hell, Luke.
We're done. I'll say, I gave you decades of my life watching your product. I also have tons of memorabilia. And this is how I am repaid. Can't even put John Cena's WrestleMania 36 moment that's on your YouTube channel in my video.
Okay.
Ridiculous.
All 3 people. So we'll give it a minute and see if anybody trickles in here.
Are you sure you don't want to do it at the end? Just because, like last time, we had a handful of people at the end there, so...
All right, yeah, we could do that. We'll see. Then I'll get my movie pulled up here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, just because, like, last time we had some people filtering in, so... Because I don't think we really started with too many. Then we ended up with, like, 6 or whatever it was. I mean, I'm going to be here the whole time, so it doesn't really matter. Why don't we do it?
Yeah, save that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are. Yeah, I have Peacock Premium, so I shouldn't have to worry about ads.
Okay, yeah, I don't think you will.
At least I shouldn't. That's how it should work.
In theory.
There we go.
Are you started?
Oh no, I'm just pulling it up. Yeah, I gotta watch 109 minutes or 109 seconds of ads, and then I can freely watch.
Oh man.
The Black Phone.
Just let me know when you're at that Universal logo and I'll hit play.
You got it, big guy. I'm watching a trailer for Megan, bro.
Megan. Oh, that's the doll movie.
Tis a doll movie.
It's not Chucky. It's not Charles Lee Ray. I watched the first episode of Cabinets of Curiosity.
Oh, nice. What'd you think?
I enjoyed it. Some of the CGI is questionable, but what can you do?
Yeah, I mean, they're tiny budget.
Yeah, so. But I thought it was fun. I'm going to watch this probably second episode tonight.
Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. Never leave home. I'm gonna put this on Twitter too. I think that helped last time.
The Twitter.
All alone, the two of us. So deceptive.
What's that?
The Halloween Ends trailer. Oh, I'm gonna get the novelization on Audible, so I can get through it, because that way I can make a more informed talk in my video essay.
Oh, okay, I got you.
A lot of people say the book is way better.
That's usually the case.
Apparently, it opens really cool. Like,
Oh, I want to actually own the physical copy. I have it in my cart. I just haven't bought it yet.
okay, I'm paused at 0000. Let me put this up on Twitter, and then we'll be good.
I am starting the movie right now. Halloween. I have my John Carpenter Halloween sweatshirt on. It says John Carpenter's Halloween there, in case you didn't see it. See that?
Very cute.
You're not even looking.
I can't. You're not up on the thing.
Wow. I should always be on the screen, sir.
Let me see.
Oh my god, it just says it right there, and
There
then it's
you
got
go.
the picture of Michael in the back.
Very cute.
That was not even sincere. It's ridiculous. Dun dun dun.
So have the big giveaway after.
After.
It'd be cool if we had like a good bit of people show up to this after a little while.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I would like that. I had fun the last one a lot. So
Oh yeah. I don't know. I think maybe those types of movies will get maybe a bigger crowd just because they're a little fun.
yeah, I was wondering if like we're committed to this obviously, but I was sitting there like, because Terrifier 2 is out on Screenbox. I'm like, I think that's gonna be a big draw. I feel like a lot more people are gonna want to check that one out.
Oh yeah.
What is that noise?
Kids outside. I don't know if they're
Okay.
trick or treat. Well, I don't know what they're doing.
It's just like I thought it was your cat.
No, it's kids.
Yeah, same difference. All right, that is posted. All right, you ready? We had 000.
Yeah, I'm ready to go, sir. I've been here, ready.
All right, do the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I'll put this up here. Put that right there.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, cool. Doesn't look like I can hear anything in the stream, so that's good.
Perfection. Cracking some beers.
Like we said in the podcast, good opening. I like this opening a lot.
Oh yeah, feels real. Takes you right back to those days of Little League, huh?
I played Little League for like a couple years, I think. If I remember correctly, I did.
I did not. You ruined my joke. I thought both of us did not play Little League, but
No,
whatever.
I did. I played t-ball and stuff.
Oh man, I did not.
Coach pitch. I didn't get anywhere past that.
You gave up, sir. You could have been one of the best. You could have
Was
been
not
on
a
Bruce
fan.
Yamada's level.
Boy, howdy, I wish.
Oh, look at Finn there. Pure confidence. Oh, here we go. One more. One more and he's got him. Pure determination on Bruce's face.
Yeah, and it's like they do a nice little subversion there because they make you think he's going to hate his guts. And
Yep.
like that's going to be the whole thing. But no, he's
Yeah.
actually a very nice, cordial child.
Yeah, they really play him off as, especially when he does like the tip of the cap as he's
Mhm.
walking here. You think he's kind of going to be a smug bastard, but turns out this kid is a kid you want to have a beer with.
I don't think you want to have a beer with a child, Luke. I don't think that's the right way to go about it.
I don't know. It was 78 though. Bruce is back behind the bleachers smoking a pack of Lucky Strikes.
Maybe.
Definitely. Was that an Orange Crush she had in her hand?
I don't know. I didn't see.
I just kind of caught the logo. I thought that's what it was.
Good game. Good game. I remember doing this.
Oh, man. Arm is mint. See, I like this line better. In the novel or the short story, he says, "You were dirty," and it's a callback later on. I think your arm is mint is a better, more definitive callback.
Mm-mm. And they really do capture that 1970s appeal here. Like you can really catch that feeling here, which I like a lot.
Bruce, he's a chick magnet. There we go, Finn letting off his rocket, not a care in the world. He knows he's a good pitcher.
Now they say some kids have already been taken, right?
Yeah, Bruce was.
He was
Bruce
like,
was the last, or no, we have Bruce, then we get Robin, and then we get Finn. So yeah, there's already been maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
There's the black van rolling up. Ethan Hawke, you bad boy.
He's a naughty boy, wouldn't you say?
Maybe a little bit. I see these credits are great.
I know, I love them. They really harken back to that sinister vibe, but also it's just like it is again kind of setting that time period for you.
It really feels
lawless
like
out there.
It's very interesting because again we have like the small town feel at the opening. This feels like it is a lot of cuts to small town, but it feels like very city, very dirty.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
She's on the phone wire. I love when you go back and you look at this stuff after seeing this so many times.
Yeah, and you see all the little references.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's a well-crafted flick. The little black balloon there, I just noticed that for the first time.
And then I'm assuming these close-ups of like the cuts and things are probably of some of the victims.
Oh yeah, I would say so.
I love this beers and cornflakes, the milk. I mean, that is defining just in one shot of this home life.
Beers and cornflakes. That was the working title for this movie.
Beers and cornflakes. Joe Hill was like, "Oh, why don't we just stick with the black phone?" I always am curious. Like, he cannot hear himself slurping. I would be annoyed.
Are you also a drunk though, Luke?
It depends on the day.
Every night.
Depends on the day. I wish I had hair like that though. Look at that.
Ugh, really?
What a mane.
It's a sex icon.
Absolutely, without question.
Especially how he, abuses his children and everything. I love it.
Oh man, really sets the tone there. Father of the Year.
Open a bread box too loud and everybody acts like, oh fuck, it's about to go down.
There we go.
That's the kind of
That's
That
the
is
trigger.
the energy that I like to have in my household.
Don't be too loud. Be very quiet when you're getting bread. I do like that they're like, oh, it's new. Where they just keep putting up flyers and stuff, even though he's been gone for a minute.
How long did they say he was gone for?
That I'm trying to remember. It has been a couple months, I think.
Yeah, because it was summer when that happened. Now it's fall, so it's
Oh,
at
Robin.
least it's at least like September now. I would say, right?
Yeah,
Maybe
I
late
would guess so.
September. Because they never hinted any like Halloween or anything.
I remember watching this for the first time. I was like, I have no idea what they're setting up for here. Like, what are we developing? And then it's like, it's just two kids fighting.
It's just some children beating the shit out of each other.
I know. It's like as soon as he punches him once and he's bleeding, and then he just keeps going for him. Like, Jesus, we're really going for it here.
I don't know what happened. StreamYard says we have 0 viewers, but I'm the only viewer in this right now. Is the one that I'm keeping an eye on the stream with. And it's still going.
Now we're back at 1. It looks like.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Now we're in it. Oh, he's kicking his ass.
He is, dude. Like the violence in this movie, like you said, in the commentary, Scott Derrickson says that that's like, how he perceived everything growing up, like how he saw it. And I'm just sitting here like, Jesus, like I saw kids fight, but it never got like that fucking intense. You know what I mean?
Maybe it was just a little more aggressive back then. I don't know, because there
In
is very
Colorado,
extreme violence in here.
everybody called him Pinball Vance.
That's what the prequel is going to just be about, pinball.
Pinball Vance. The trailer, they just play Pinball Wizard.
They'll do it's a prequel, but it doesn't even have the grabber in it. It's legitimately just a story about pinball.
And how he's a dickhead, but he plays pinball real good.
And that's it. You just have the black van driving in the background, and that's it.
And there's Joe Hill, right?
Yep. Just hanging out. He's got to do the cameo like his dad.
Like his papa. I wonder what else we're going to get from Joe Hill as far as adaptations go.
I think we're supposed to... I had heard, this was a little bit ago, that we were going to get the heart-shaped box. I'm very intrigued by that story, and to see where they go with it, how it's portrayed.
Yeah, I know nothing about that one, so...
So it's about a aging rock star who still goes on tour every so often, who has an affection for buying supernatural items, like I guess you would say like haunted things. He gets an ad basically for what would be eBay saying that there is a suit that is haunted, and kind of recommends to him that maybe he should buy this, and he does, and it comes in a heart-shaped box. But there are strong ties there. I don't want to spoil that for you, but very intriguing story.
Okay, I'm in. Another spooky kind of supernatural story.
Uh-oh. Oh, man, he's dropping some derogatory terms here. Now Robin's showing up, and he's going to kick some ass. I love it. They don't even give him any sass. They're like, yes, sir.
Keeping on.
That's what Joe Dirt says.
I think he says you got to keep on keeping on.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing. Difference. Life's a garden, dig it.
I love Robin in this movie.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely phenomenal. Like, he's only in so many scenes, but all those scenes count. Like, they develop him so well in just the limited time that he has.
You can sense that their relationship is genuine.
I love you just wrapping his fist.
Wrapping it in tape. I used to do that when I couldn't find a Band-Aid. Just put duct
Okay.
tape on my stuff with like a cotton thing, like
You,
cotton ball, and like I'd always get shit from my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, about that. She'd be like, "That's disgusting. Why do you do that?" I'm like, "I just couldn't find a Band-Aid."
you're like, it's better than nothing.
That's what I always said.
I'm gonna start wearing a bandana.
Cheech and Chong shirt.
There we go. Robin knows what's up. Again, this interaction here, I talked about it in the podcast. So small, but it
Mhm.
really just kind of establishes how Robin is with Finn.
Again, I think Madeline McGraw really owns every scene that she's in, as far as like brings so much to her character.
Oh,
She just
absolutely.
feels like so much like a real person, you know. Like I didn't even get to say it in like the opening here, but like just little conversations about like who she's gonna marry and everything. Like just it all works.
Yeah. And I mean, she had some dialogue in that opening scene, but this is really where she shines in terms of that introduction here. And they make it so memorable here. And it's tough to kind of have that dynamic of there's three adults in the room and to have the child kind of steal the show here. That's rough to do, but she does it.
I agree. I'm just waiting for it. Fucking fart knockers. I love that so much.
And I mean, she plays this so well, but the two police officers here, they play it off so well that it's like you want to see more of an interaction here, because um, they don't overplay it. They're really stoic a lot in their presentation, but I think it works so well with kind of her how animated she is.
Mm-hmm. They really got it out for Finn, man. They just want his ass.
Oh man, it's like come on, ease up. You don't want to have to answer to Robin now, so let it go. And those are like the three least intimidating bullies I've ever seen.
Yeah, right. They're not really the top dogs per se, right?
Yeah, they're like, oh well, pinball's gone. They saw an opportunity and they're trying to take it. That's why it's like I think it's like 3 on 1.
They need all three of them just take on one kid.
Getting the old ice cream out, watching some horror movies.
And this is he said that this was one of his Scott Derrickson, I mean, said that this is one of his one of the movies that it's terrified him as a child.
Yeah, the Tingler, I believe, is what it is. And I'm intrigued that we talked about it on the Sunday Scaries a few weeks ago, where oh man, what was it called? The crawling hand or something like that, where it's like I need to go back and fill in those gaps of seeing a lot of these old black and white kind of horror movies um, that are so iconic, and I just have never went back and revisited any of them.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it is, if they're royalty free, we could actually stream them on here and watch them with people if they were
That is
interested.
true.
So
Oh man. What a rough scene here.
it's one of those ones that makes it tough to watch.
But it's so real, so visceral that I think it adds to it. I think that the tone of having it tough to watch makes you almost relate to the characters a little more, especially how resilient they are and they bounce back, in the next scene. I think yeah, it's tough to watch, but it adds so much in terms of just the storytelling from characters from all angles here.
And he said this was an $8 bottle of vodka.
Is that what the dad said?
I believe he did, and you got to think like back then that was actually
That was a lot of
pretty
money.
good chunk of change to be spending on some vodka.
Scott Derrickson always talks about this kind of choice here, where especially this last delivery right there from her really showed, how great of an actress she is, just because it wasn't written like that. She just took the creative liberty to kind of deliver it like that, and I think that last delivery of her being so angry adds so much to her character, because
Mm-hmm.
she's not that aggressive. She's, a little more easygoing, I would say, in terms of thinking everyone's an idiot, like not being as aggressive, but seeing that kind of her worked up there adds a lot to her
Mm-hmm.
character.
Shows that even though she got kicked around this time, but she normally does, like, she doesn't put up with that really. Still, she's still willing
Yeah.
to fight.
And then this just adds to their relationship as well.
Mm-hmm. They're both in the shit.
Oh, Robin.
Oh yeah.
Look at him just getting out. I mean, we don't get a clear shot of him, but what the hell
Mm-hmm.
is he wearing? A cape, and
Yeah, he's
he's
got
got
the
the
cape
satin
and
shirt.
the red shirt. Not wearing the mask though. You could tell that much at least.
I would have turned around. I'd be like, this dude is odd.
I was always curious when we saw this in theaters why he kept
Walking toward him.
walking towards him, but then it's just kind of like, well, I guess he really doesn't give a shit. So he doesn't
Yeah.
think that anybody's gonna fuck with him. Believes his own hype a little too much.
Yeah, oh yeah. He got a little too bold. And I think Scott Derrickson said he kind of struggled on how he wanted to film and deliver this line here. And I think it works here. And I'm always curious because we do get a couple of a different pronunciations of Robin's last name, and I'm always curious if that was kind of a creative choice in terms
Mm-hmm.
of them not knowing how to pronounce his name, or that was actually just the actors not knowing how to pronounce Robin's last name.
Yeah, I think it's it also plays in with the times of just like there was kind of that stigma of people who just like kind of not necessarily like more, I guess, the ignorance to want to learn the proper phrasing of it.
And and that's what I was curious if that was the creative choice to have it wrong, because I believe it's Ariano, if I'm remembering correctly, is how you're supposed to pronounce it, because it was one of Scott Derrickson's friends that he went to school with, so he intentionally picked it. So that's why I feel like in those incorrect pronunciations have to be intentional.
Mm-hmm. It's always great to see how concerned Finney is for his friend here too.
Oh yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
like that. He said he still is my friend. Just those little word choices there, I think, are very significant in just showing how much he cares. I also think it was interesting, kind of, to make her, because there aren't really too many overly religious themes at all, I think, in this film. I think, looking at it, I think she's really the only character that they ever touch on any sort of religion in that. I think that's a little rare in the late 70s, because it was more popular to go to church and everything. So I'm just curious. I think it was an interesting creative choice, because we know that she is more in tune with her kind of spiritual side in what she does see. So to kind of make her the more spiritual one, in kind of a conflicted relationship, I would say, not necessarily right out of the gate
Mm-hmm.
overly religious or anything. So I think kind of adding that dynamic there was very interesting, and to not really touch on that with any of the other characters.
Yeah, I feel he was probably a little more intentional. Maybe if it was a series, we could have gotten away with expanding upon that a little bit more. But I think like
Mm,
with this character, I mean, they're pretty much a broken home too. So it's like
yeah.
there's probably too much going on in the homestead to be worrying about church or anything like that.
No,
I'm
no.
sure maybe because of their past, at one point they were probably pretty religious, maybe. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just wonder if that would have been a bigger thing had they still
And
stayed
more
together if
time.
their mom hadn't died.
Yeah. And then again, this scene right here, the all-out
Hmm.
brutality is just wild. She comes in with this rock. Oh,
I
she
know, dude. She just dings this kid. Like,
didn't
oh
even
my
think twice.
god.
I would have never thrown the rock. I don't know
Mm.
what was going on in her head. I would have kept that rock and started swinging. I remember the reaction of people in the theater as blood was gushing out of his head. I was like, "Oh man, she really got him."
I thought
And
that kid was gonna die.
yeah, and then she got kicked straight in the mouth. Uh oh, Finn might be catching a break with Donna. I love this little her teasing him.
Yeah, but isn't this the last time that they even talk to each other?
Yeah, yeah, this
Mm.
is it for until the very end, and I don't even know. Do they share dialogue at the end?
I don't think so. No,
I
I'm
think
pretty
it's
sure
just
she
them
just runs
sitting
up and
there.
hugs him. Yeah.
And I mean, they did such a great job at opening up that character, because again, she's only in one scene, I think, in the short story. So to kind of give her as much as they did and make her such a valuable player in this film, really attributing Scott Derrickson and Robert Cargill. There's the man, the big creeper. I would have said no.
And it's like, he's holding that can too. I just noticed that too. He's been holding that canister the whole time.
He's like, he's already got it down.
Mm-hmm.
That bastard and his black balloons.
It's so seamless too, how he just does not give a shit. Like, you can tell that he's done this so many times.
He's got it down to a science.
Now that I've like heard some of that story, and I know that was bug spray in the story, that just makes it so much worse for me.
Yeah.
When he sprays him in his mouth, like, I don't know why. Like, it just, for me, it never bothered me, because it was just one of those things where it's like, I never knew precisely what it was. It was more just like, okay, it's probably some kind of like knockout gas or something, whatever you want to call it. But to know that was bug spray was just one of those things that just like, oh my God, that unsettles the fuck out of me.
Yeah, because, I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, he must have developed something, something that he had access to
Some
just knock them out real
chloroform or
quick.
something like that,
And then you realize it's not really that much of a finesse. You just pick something up and he just sprays it in their face. It's like, ugh, just the care that he does not have for his victims at all. It's just like, oh, who cares if they can see or not?
God, there we go, the mask.
Oh, there it is. Beautiful creation. And adds so much to this actual film.
And as we go along here, when he starts like switching faces and things like that, I know they kind of showed that in the trailer. I almost wish they didn't.
Yeah.
So that way we could kind of see that as like a surprise, because I think that's such a genius idea.
And Scott Derrickson does talk about in the commentary, especially with the unveiling of the paper boy, and his like kind of the ghost figure of him, where we see him, I guess, all the battle damage that he has from sustaining the beatings from the grabber, is a pretty big jump scare. But Scott Derrickson talks about, he had wished they did not use that for the marketing, but he didn't really have any control over that. So it's like some of the big pieces they ended up really using for the marketing, which I know you have to sell the film like that, but there's so much you could do with just Finn's reactions and just hearing the grabber's voice off screen would sell this film so much.
Yeah, and that's just one of those things too, where it's like I agree with you there. It's like, and I guess I sympathize with him is more what I'm trying to say, is because it's like, yeah, you really don't have any control when it comes to marketing your film, which I think is kind of silly. I think like there should be some kind of a say, but maybe that just comes with history. Like people who've had a say hold back too much and suddenly nobody wants to see your movie, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's Hollywood.
And that's kind of like siding with the creatives. Obviously, we have a specific take on it. Not really the business side of things, which I understand, but it's like one of those things where maybe just film some things that you would want to see in the marketing, even if it's not in the actual film, just to sell it.
Yeah. And that's the thing, they're doing that a lot more now. I know that was kind of hinted towards with Halloween Ends, which sucks because that turned out not to be true at all. But they do that with Marvel films. Like, they will literally film stuff that won't be in the movie just to throw you off the scent a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. It looks like we got a couple people in the viewing party here. If you're just tuning in with us now, the time code on the film, if you want to hop in with us, we are just crossing the 30-minute mark at 30 minutes, 14 seconds. So. Yeah, I like the whole setting here in this basement. Like, we spend a good deal of time in this, so it's like it was kind of crucial that they get that correct, I feel.
Yeah.
But like, this was definitely like you get a good sense for how much space there is in there and everything.
Yeah.
It's interesting. This is a great shot too.
I know. I remember seeing this for the first time, and you're just thinking about how she's gonna react to Finn
Hmm.
being grabbed, you know? So it's like, and each time you see this scene, it's just like it rips your heart out
Yeah,
because
because they don't have to give you any words. It's
yep,
like it just her running in place, and it's such an interesting shot to me. Like they kind of do that reverse Jaws effect there.
yeah. Especially knowing kind of the dynamic earlier on where Finn is worrying about the grabber and she's kind of poking fun at him a little bit, and then knowing that he actually did get picked up, and then her just sitting there helpless.
Oh yeah. And I said it in the commentary. We're gonna get to it in a little bit here, but it is one or the podcast. But we'll get to it in a little bit here, where I do appreciate the kind of change of heart that the dad has
Oh yeah,
as we go along here. It's very. I feel like in some aspects, not everybody, it is pretty realistic because now one of his children is missing, and he's kind of like, okay, I, he's like starts to really rethink his ways of everything.
yeah, and I think that's the thing where we had talked about it before, where Joe Hill's characters seem to be a little more real. I think where they have these shades of gray, where we talk about the ending and he doesn't really get redemption. We're not supposed to be feeling sorry for the father,
Mm-mm.
but we just know that he's a flawed character, and I think we get that uh, with a lot of these characters, especially except for this guy. He's just bad.
He's just a
He's
bad piece
bad
of
news.
shit. I remember sitting in the theater when he starts going off about that, saying like, "Oh, everything's all fucked up and messed up, man," and it's just like that's so different. It's so weird. Like he's just been this imposing presence this whole time, and now he's kind of letting him into the field of view a little bit. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's kind of just like, okay, yeah, like I'm letting you in to hear how things are going for me.
And you never, especially knowing the kind of character that he is, you never know whether to believe him or not. Whether
Hmm.
this is like the routine that he uses on everyone that he picks up, or this really is different. So it took me a minute to realize that he was being a little more truthful in terms of his brother showing up and stuff like that. Whereas, like, I thought maybe he was just leading Finn on for maybe trying to get a little more information, thinking maybe he would let him out.
And see, I love that. You know how he's like, it wasn't me, it was someone else. They never expand upon that any further, but it is one of those things where it's like you kind of get this sense of like the multiple personalities, or at least like that he convinces himself, or maybe he's just convincing his victims
Yeah.
so that way he can disarm them at times.
Yeah, so I mean, it works on so many different levels there, where it's like, I think he knows exactly what he's doing. He just wants to disarm them to say, "Oh no, I'm not the grabber. I'm some different guy. I'm not here to murder you. I'm going to let you go at some point." To kind of keep
Hmm.
that hope alive, especially where we know where he's gonna be leading him a little bit later and trying to lure him upstairs to try and get away. See, and I love the way that he plays that off because where he asks him, "Was there anyone there?" He kind of stops before he says
Hmm.
anything or shakes his head. Where it's like it had me thinking of like, well, does he even believe that no one was there?
Poor Finney.
This kid can't catch a break.
I've always kind of thought of this as a small flaw in the film of why he didn't just break the glass for that, but then it's kind of like maybe it they don't do a good enough job showing it, but it could just be like really thick like glass block after behind that.
Oh, up there,
Hmm.
I don't think he can ever get a clear shot at it because,
Well, because he rips the grate off.
but then the only reason he was able to get up there was because he tied a rope to it. So and then once
Well,
that
then
rips
couldn't he
off.
just rip some of the wall chunks that he rips out when he's breaking the wall because it's like concrete. So it's like, couldn't he just break one of those big rocks off and toss it up there? I'm not trying to ruin the movie for anybody. It's just something that I usually think about when I watch it.
It's just one of those things where there's almost no way of even getting back up to that window after the grate's gone. So
I mean,
even if you,
he could just yell though.
I mean, I suppose, but we're really taking jumps here.
I'm poking holes in your favorite movie of the year. I know. I'm sorry. I'm
No,
just,
no.
now it's ruined.
Now I'm leaving the stream. We're done.
We are finished. It's okay. It's looking like it's just mostly you and me today. So
Oh, that's okay. I love the anticipation here, where I was waiting for someone to be able to on the other end of that phone. In the first few rings that we don't really get that. It's just kind of silent. So, I love the way they played that. We didn't just go right into it. They made you wait for it.
mm-hmm. Again, another kind of disarming moment here where you just don't know where he's getting at it with here.
And for me, like the mask's unsettling, but this version here where you're seeing the top of his face is very unsettling just because
Mm-hmm.
uh you can see his eyes better, a little more of the expressions. Um and it's just absolute like the tears in his eyes here are like just to look at you and you can't tell if it's this weird obsession, if he's thinking about what he's going to have to do to Finn because in his head he has to do these things. It's like a compulsion. So it's very intriguing to see that version of the mask because I think it makes you ask a little bit more of what's going on in his head.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, fuck that.
Yeah, that shit's. I'm out of here.
He's like, we're done.
And that was something that got me too. Is just how like they can do the continuous ring
Yep.
because then it really adds that supernatural element. It sells you on that really well.
Yeah, it feels so foreign that you're like, God damn, just answer the phone.
Your arm is mint.
I love it. I love that line that your arm is mint. It just seems so it's so definitive to the interaction with Bruce. So
Mm-hmm.
um where it doesn't seem mundane, it can't get lost in translation. It's just the vernacular of your arm is mint
Mm-hmm.
is really just a perfect diction for to kind of distinguish uh that's Bruce on the other end there.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I'm glad it's you.
Mm-hmm. and nothing.
I love that they're just giving him just enough, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
It
Because
really
it's
is
like,
until Robin that he starts like telling him to like kind of gets the plan to kind of start piecing everything together.
yeah. And that's where it's like, as you're watching this, not knowing how the culmination is gonna work, it's just like all these are failed plans, it's like, oh, one after another, he has to keep moving, to something that he's probably never going to achieve in terms of getting out of that basement, but then when it all comes together, it's just absolutely gratifying.
Mm-hmm. And these sequences with Bruce growing up here too, with the 16 millimeter again, an excellent use. And I do like the little callback here of showing him getting taken.
Yeah. And that's where it's like, I love the way that they did that because we talked about it in the podcast where up and when Finn gets grabbed, we didn't see any of the other kids being taken. We always worked up to with Robin and Bruce. We saw the black van, but we didn't see them actually being taken. So that when Finn is taken, it has more of a stakes to it, a
Mm-hmm.
feel to it because this is something we haven't seen yet. So it really, you don't have time to get used to it. Your heart's racing. So, but and then we kind of circle back and we see when some of these other kids are taken.
One thing for me too is like I can't believe that, and she might be sneaking out, but her dad's even letting her out of the house.
Yeah,
Like especially this late at night after her brother went missing. Like,
that's what I love that she's just so adamant about finding him
mm-hmm,
that she thinks she's going to be able to find out where the grabber took him.
mm-hmm,
It's one of those things where even if it's an impossible task, because of her relationship with Finn, she doesn't even want to admit that to herself.
mm-hmm. Just kind of like how she didn't want to admit that or like Finney didn't want to admit that like his friends were gone or taken or anything
Yeah.
like that.
I love that. We don't even hear the dialogue. We just know what's being said as all the
Mm-hmm.
kids are looking at her. And Donna's like, what am I going to do for a science partner now?
That's her major concern. Yeah. Well, shit. Now I got to cover the whole project.
And then I believe they had said that the crack in the wall was a tribute to Sinister.
That's what I heard. Yeah, I read that. And I guess sure, but like to me, it's a dingy basement, so I never would have picked up on that if they hadn't said it.
Yeah. And that's where it's like,
Yeah.
looking at that those walls are very reminiscent of Sinister, but it's like, and it doesn't take anything away. It only adds a little bit to it for me. So it's like, hey, I think it's a perfect tie-in, a nice little Easter egg for everyone who's seen Sinister. Um, and it's just like kind of the level of care I think that they put into this film really shows.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things too where it's like when I look up like fan art or anything for this, there have been people who've taken the blood from Sinister on the wall and have put the grabber's mask in it.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just works. These both these films seem similar in tone. I could see what was Ethan Hawke's character's name? Ellis, or was it Oswald? I'm forgetting, but
Ellison Oswald.
I could easily see him being lost in trying to crack uh the grabber. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And kind of getting lost in that story and moving to the town to see where all these kids went. I think that would be an even interesting kind of idea.
No, I agree. And one of the things that I really liked that I had kind of said on Twitter, I think back when this film had come out, I know that I think I was talking to Fred's Horror Corner
Yeah,
about this on Twitter. He had said that he was just I think he had just gotten around to seeing it, and he was talking about how he loves Sinister and stuff. And I was just like, I like to think that like these films take place in the same universe,
Yeah.
just at different time periods, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just because they are so similar in style and tone and
And I could
everything, and the Ghost Children still, you know.
yes. And I could have easily seen, like, if this had come out prior, to Sinister, I could have easily seen some sort of tribute in terms of maybe a book that, Oswald
Hmm.
had written or something like that.
Going over the grabbers cases and everything.
Yep, I could have seen that wholeheartedly.
I love the shot too. I think this is so creepy.
Yes, ugh, so unsettling here. Just
Him
like
just
it
waiting with the belt.
I think this brings a new level of creepiness to it. Like, this is
Hmm.
up the ante right here. But, he does have a smooth chest. That's cool.
Does he do this in the book? Because I never made it that far. He never does anything like this.
No, we don't have the naughty boy type of thing. This is, a totally added addition. We don't really move too much from,
The
um
basement.
yes, the basement. It's very much told. I think it's the short story is only, like, about 30 pages, so they don't really have time to. I don't even know if he eats, in the, during any of the basement scenes because
Does it
they're
all
really,
take place in like one day?
no, it takes place it might be 3 days. They mention it because he's the longest one that lasts in the basement because, the brother does show up, so and that's the reason that, they give for him being able to hear the phone is that no one else lasted long enough for them to hear the phone.
Mm-hmm. Billy Shellwater.
Don't call him that. He's a paper boy now.
And then the subtle movement of the bottle too. It's
Yes.
just like it really adds that whole element that they're in there with him. And like so when Robin says later on that they've been there the whole time, you
Yeah.
know.
Because going into that they were there the whole time, in Bruce saying that the phone rang, just no one had heard it. The frustration that has to be going through the heads of a lot of the ghost children here of, wanting to communicate, wanting to help whoever is down in that basement, but them never being able to hear the phone and having just, we're adding to that roster in a sense. And then finally Finn comes along and can actually hear the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another uh, just kind of attention to detail where Scott Derrickson talks about in these flashbacks here the code is vibrant orange, it's a Denver Broncos coat, but then when we do see him in that basement it's totally washed out and like almost like a dark gray aqua kind of looking color.
Mm-hmm. And this is the case that's based off of the actual where the first kid they put on milk cartons, right?
Yes.
Because yeah, that's what they did. They had this one based off of an
I
actual
l-
case.
I love Ethan Hawke's movements in there where he kind of just puts
Mm-hmm.
the hand out, very showmanship esque there. You can really tell he's playing that magician kind of entertainer part, and I love the Super 8 footage there. Again, they use that I think in Sinister, with the kills and stuff like that. I think it's a great technique. Scott Derrickson tends to use it in a good chunk of his films, but I think it works so well.
And I never would have thought of the way that he gets that rope up there.
Oh yeah, I
Never would have
know.
even considered it. I thought that was so creative in the theater. Once he gets it around.
Oh, now we're in business.
And something that we haven't mentioned just yet, but I love the score to this film,
Yes.
especially those little hints of synth that we get, like in this moment, like with the doodle 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 doodle.
That's where it's like, they really had a great direction for this film. Because it's like everything in this film feels so strong, feels so premeditated that it's one of the reasons why. Well, it's my favorite film thus far, and I think it's why it's always in the conversation for a lot of people in terms of some of the great horror films that have come out this year.
Mm-hmm. You're right. There is a great attention to detail throughout most of this movie.
I know we were talking about potential other commentaries. I think Barbarian would be a lot of fun.
I'd love to do Barbarian, and I mean, we're gonna definitely do some Terrifier too. There's probably a lot from this year that we'll have to do. Black Phone doesn't seem to be hitting with the live audience, but hopefully people will find this and they'll watch it and they'll enjoy
Yeah.
it.
Hey, I'll watch it for a 15th time. No problems from me.
Yeah. And this is that scene I was talking about where it's like they do really humanize the father again.
Yeah.
And, he does understand that he's kind of having that come to Jesus moment of just like, I've been kind of a piece of shit to my family and a piece of shit to my children. And it's like, I do sympathize with him a little bit. I mean, he lost his wife and everything, and we never really understand how long it's been since then.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things where like it could have been a year, 2 years ago.
And
It seems like it's been longer, but it's
and
tough
to
to say.
and to know the kind of motivation behind how he gets so worked up. I'm not excusing his actions by
Never.
any sense, but to know what he has dealt with and his reservations in terms of, seeing that um in his daughter and hoping that, life doesn't turn out the exact same way. I understand where he's coming from, and just being so hesitant in for her to not even wanting to discuss her dreams and to pretend like they don't exist, because that's such an a prominent defense mechanism for a lot of human beings to kind of, if we don't talk about it, it doesn't exist, and then when
Mhm.
they do talk about it, they get worked up about it. So again, this is where we go back to a lot of these characters feel real. There's shades of gray. There's a lot of issues that you kind of have to peel back and start understanding where everyone's coming from. That's why it's like the story here, this from a supernatural element is great, but from just a character perspective and a relationship perspective, it works as well.
Like he's so broken up trying to explain it to her, and like you can just tell like he never knows the words. He never
Yeah,
knows exactly how to describe it to his children
where it's like
because he
he's
treats
dealing with
them.
the trauma of it as well.
Yeah, and it's like he treats them as I guess anybody would as children, and he doesn't really understand that when you've been through, and that's one thing, like not to get too deep here, but it's just us right now, so I guess I can, is to say like when my experience with my mother passing away when I was 13, that was something different that my dad did. Was like he, we were still his children, but we started to pick up more responsibilities around the house, making dinners at nights and things like that while he was coming home from work. And he quickly understood and treated us more so like adults.
Yeah,
And I think that that's I got a lot more freedoms as a teenager than I think most kids would,
Yeah.
So much so that like we had family members that would be like, giving us a bunch of shit for it and everything. And it's just one of those things where it's like you have that kind of you got to understand like a traumatic event like that, it does age you a bit, maybe not
Yeah.
physically, but mentally, like you got to pick up a mantle if you're, if you go through it.
Yep.
But not to delve too deep into that. Now we can talk about one of my favorite characters in the movie here, Max.
And this character I think is great because they wanted to liven it up a little bit to kind of have a little bit of comedy in here, and I
Because it's
think
been
he does it.
heavy thus far. So
Yeah. So to kind of just put him in at the spot that they do. We talk about sometimes the comedy in these types of films can kind of deflate and not really hit. I think they place him perfectly, and just the way that he plays this character off, because there are no scenes like this in the short story. So to kind of have this
mhm,
kind of big dialogue dump of these relationships between him and the police officers, I think it works and kind of gives you that moment to chuckle.
I agree. And I love the reveal later on that we get.
Yeah. He just does the lines anyway.
I know. And this, we talked about it on the podcast about how you said that this was supposed to be the transition reveal showing that he was in the basement
Yep.
and that was the grabber's home, and how that didn't work for a lot of people. It just didn't connect.
Yeah.
I almost think that, that never he should have just kept his mouth shut
Yeah.
and said that wasn't it, because like I think that works as a transition, because I think like having that reveal now, it doesn't make any sense. Like nothing really feels, granted he's been saying that things are fucked up, that there's somebody upstairs, but like I think it's so much more effective when he opens that door
Yeah.
and you realize that it's Max, and it's like, oh my god, like that's him, dude, like holy shit.
And because there's a line of dialogue after he escapes, and he throws him back in here, and you can hear Max from upstairs, and he says, "Nothing, Max." I think that would have been a great, kind of piecing it together at that point, especially with the dog barking when Finn's trying to get out, and Samson, it starts hearing him and starts barking. They kind of have those little things where it's like if you're connecting it at that point, great. But to do it right there is kind of it was odd, because even seeing this multiple times, it still plays just like a basic transition rather than an unveiling that he's in the basement.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you, do you have the stream up on your side?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. I took mine down, so that's why I was just wondering. I was like seeing if we had a live viewer, if that was just still you and me. So I was just like, I'll take it down, but that's fine. You can keep yours up because I like to see the quality of it. So Finny.
See, and this is where it's like you can't take anything that he's saying at face value, because he already knows all this stuff, and he goes, "I'm thinking about it," and you never really believe what he's actually saying.
No, and I agree. I think it just, they have that ambiguity throughout the entire film here of just like you can never trust anything the grabber has to say. It is super smart and it
Yeah.
just plays so well.
Look at him falling asleep with his shirt unbuttoned. What a pervert.
Son of a bitch, how dare he. You think he's picking? They never explicitly show it. You think he's picking this up to eat it, or do you think that it's he's just doing it for just to clean up or whatever?
I had always figured that he was picking up to eat it, just because. I mean, you
What
never
else
know
are you
when you're
doing
going
with
to
it?
get your next meal.
True.
And it kind of, for me, I've always kind of figured that he was picking it up to eat it because it always kind of gave you that little extra. I mean, you already feel bad for him, but now he's having to eat stuff off the
Off the
ground.
ground. Which in this scene you can kind of get the implication that I mean it's pretty much a dirty basement, but in a second here we're about to see there's been some other things on that ground that
Yeah,
you may not have wanted to consume.
and I love this because you're hearing the dripping, and this I was getting prepped for this in terms of it being some sort of blood or something like that. And this is like I just love that beat of
You see
him.
the arm and then it slowly fades into everything else.
Yep. And for me, I think Griffin's probably the most unsettling of the ghost children for me, with the laughing and all that stuff. For me,
Is
kind
he
of
the
really,
youngest?
I think so.
Because I get that impression.
Yeah, I think he is. They play him off that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he really sounds young. And do you think he might have been the first victim?
I think they say he was. Yes.
Yeah, because he was like he seems to know the most.
Yep. And he seems like to be the one that is just like most personality kind of. He's lived
Mhm.
with it for so long that it
He's
just
kind
is
of
what it is.
accepted it because like Bruce was very hazy and
Yeah.
very in and out and just kind of like he couldn't necessarily figure out exactly what was going on.
Yep. And
The only
Griffin's
one
like,
that we lose that consistency with is Robin, and I only say that, sorry to cut you off, is because I think it's because he was good friends with Finn.
yeah. In I think Robin is more so with it just because of that relationship and trying to get Finn out of there. He is a, dog in the fight in a sense, whereas everyone else is just, Bruce just met him one time and they had one little interaction. And then kind of Griffin here, it just seems like the all knowing one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Almost like where everyone else is kind of more serious and dealing with their own things. Griffin almost seems like he's antagonizing Finn a little bit with the laughing and not really telling him everything that he should be. It just seems like more so Griffin, in a sense, is having a little more fun than the other ones.
I love that little Griffin. Are you fucking like? Are you serious?
It's like,
Like,
come on,
bro,
you're killing me here, literally.
straight up.
That's if you say so. He's like, sure, kid, whatever.
I can't remember shit. Like, you're on your own, boss man. Like,
He's like, listen,
damn
I'm a
it,
ghost
Griffin.
kid.
What the fuck? You have one job as a ghost child. Remember your bike lock
It's
combination.
like,
You're
what do you even
dead.
call me for then, Griffin?
It's like you're just fucking with me at this point. But yeah, no, you're right. That adds that like super unsettling like nature to him of just being like that first victim, almost fucking with him. Like I never actually took it like that.
Yeah.
But now that you say that, it is one of those things where I'm like, ooh, I don't like that. That makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, and that's where for me, like Griffin seemed the most unlikable out of the Ghost Kids, where everyone else seems kind of either helpful or not really antagonizing, more so dealing with their own things. Whereas Griffin just seems okay with it and kind of reveling in the idea that Finn could be next.
Mm-hmm. He's like, well, I'll just have another friend here shortly.
And that's where it's like, almost like everyone else is a little more hopeful, whereas Griffin seems like, I already know how this is going to end.
Mm-hmm. But again, is it because I did the others didn't talk on the phone? As far as like they never implied that they could hear other kids on the phone.
They said the phone had rang, but no one had heard it. So no, I don't
Yeah.
think anyone's ever actually talked.
Because Finney's the first one that can actually like get through to them.
Yes. But then, when the grabber, as we talk about not believing anything that he says, and me kind of connecting the dots, I've always believed when he said that, when he had asked, was there anyone on the other end, and he said no, I don't believe that.
Oh yeah, that he's heard the kids, even as a kid, maybe he heard something.
Yes. So it's like I could very easily see Griffin antagonizing the grabber as well, through the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And again, talk about tension here. The first time,
This was really intense in the theater.
yes, it's just like waiting because he's gonna wake up. You just don't know, and
What's going to set it off?
yeah, and it's like, how's this actually gonna go? And you're hoping like Finn can get out. You know in your heart that he's not going to, but you're just hoping it's not gonna be as bad as you think.
Mm-hmm.
And then to kind of give him, again, just going with the writing of this too, he could have very easily not even broke that lock and had been gotten scooped up and taken down back into the basement. But to have him get that little taste of freedom as the grabber closes in on him, I think that hurts even more.
I would agree. Fucking
Damn
dog. So the grabber should have been a cat person.
There we go. Would have been easy.
Mm-hmm. Because your cats are mostly silent unless you're podcasting, you know.
And then they want food.
Yep, that's an inside joke for anybody who's watching this after the fact. If you've been watching us for a while, you've probably heard one of my cats likes to harass me because there's a crawl space right above here that she can meow through. She learned that pretty quick.
And sometimes they just fall right out of the ceiling.
They do. That was a scary night. I've always, whenever I watch a scene, I'm always curious to see like what would have happened had they gotten caught.
Yeah.
Like, how does he explain this away? Where could you have taken the story? Maybe the grabber kills that guy and then takes off in the van. And then Finney's just kind of adjusting back to it. And then you almost have that like summer of '84 vibe where they're kind of looking
that could have
for
been
him.
interesting. Yeah.
And then he just shows back up one night and abducts Finney.
Yep. Or even the sister, so just kind of adding to those elements, I think would have been an interesting take on it. See, right there, it's nothing. Go back to bed, Max. I think that would have been an interesting. That was our first real taste of, wait, he's living, his brother's there.
And you see, I just don't think I paid attention to that when I was in the theater. I think I was so caught up in the moment. Yeah. And when he said that, I never caught that. And I was just like, because when that reveal happens, I'm like, holy fuck. Love that scene. Favorite line of dialogue in the movie. Jesus, what the fuck? Like, unless you haven't been. And at first I thought she was going to say, like, what if it's not Jesus? What if it's something else? Like, what if it's the devil? But now she just goes with them. Maybe you're not even real. But yeah, I think a picture of Madeline McGraw on a t-shirt saying, what the fuck, Jesus? or
There you
Jesus,
go.
what the fuck? Like,
That's
that's
all
what
you
you do.
need.
That would go over super well. Finney's over it at this point. He's like, I'm done talking to ghost
He's
kids.
frustrated.
But he didn't expect who he's going to get on the phone today. Is that
Uh-oh. Pinball.
Pinball Vance Hopper? Again, this is one of my favorite sequences too. I like this a lot. We see a real like in depth, not like too in depth, but more in depth than we've seen at the other kids' backstory on what's going on with Pinball Vance here. So
Yeah. And I love the brutality on his face,
Mhm.
kind of alluding to what exactly happened to him. And again, just these scenes here where, again, it's not hyper 70s or anything like that. It feels uh, in the elements of the 70s enough and not over exaggerated where it's like you want to see more of this. I don't need the backstory of everything, but I would love to live in here a little bit more and to see some of these characters.
No, I agree. It does leave a lot to be desired. It's like if you think, and I know we always say this, but hey, Friday the 13th is getting a series. It's like if we could have gotten a series for this, maybe we'd have an episode where
Yeah.
we focus on maybe each of the kids and then just see where Finney's at the end.
Yeah.
All kind of leading up to it and seeing how they got caught up with the grabber, their time with the grabber.
Now, because I know that they've played with the idea of um doing a sequel in a sense here. I don't know what that entails, but in terms of a prequel, would you want to see a film, let's say with Pinball, and we know how it's going to end up? Would you be okay with that ending in terms of if he's our main character, but we know he's going to die?
I don't think so. If you were to do a sequel or a prequel to this of any way, unfortunately, I think you'd have to focus a little bit more on the grabber. I think that's the only way you could really go about it.
Yeah,
To kind of keep the story as interesting. Um, that's just my opinion personally. Which is why I think like they've talked about a sequel, but I don't think we'd ever get one.
yeah,
I think that after some time has passed on, that this will be a great one and done kind of flick. It's kind of like another movie that came out this year. It's like, could you get a sequel to Barbarian? Maybe, because they do have that line in that movie where the guy's like, there are worse things in that basement, and there's a little bit more to that basement, I believe, that we don't see.
yeah,
Other than, I know it's implied that it's Richard Brake's character, but I would think that maybe there's a few more of those things down there. There are
yeah,
other inbred creations. So it's kind of like, that sequel to me would just be, okay, she goes to the police and the police or whatever finally show up and they go down there. And then it's just like basically the descent too. Um, which we don't want to do that. But, I just think like these two movies are great on their own. Like we don't need a
yeah.
sequel to everything.
No, yeah, and that's where it's like I just want some of these films to be a moment in time to be like, hey, remember of June of 2022 when the Black Phone came out, not, hey, remember when in June of 2023 when the Black Phone 2 came out. You know what I mean? And I don't want that. I just want these to kind of be let it live where it came out and then just be.
You'd be fucking terrified. Today's the day, motherfucker. I'm getting to that cunt one.
He is a wordsmith.
Yes, he is. Mhm. I'd say that's the only questionable CGI we have in the entire film.
Yeah. I thought it was an interesting exit for Pinball Vance there because we don't really get that with anyone else.
Hmm.
That kind of long drawn out thing. I still don't necessarily understand why we got that with Pinball. There was nothing ever said in terms of an elaboration with him kind of floating away like that, where everyone else just tends to disappear.
Hmm. Did you think that this was actually going to be the way he gets out when you first saw this?
No. I thought maybe it was going to lead to another false hope moment, but I didn't think this was going to be like the way. Yeah, I'm very guilty of, especially when I'm liking a movie, to see how long I've been into the theater. So I know when, if I can time it to see how long is left in a movie. So I know I was looking at my phone real quick to see how much time I had left in this movie. So kind of spoiled it for me to be like, okay, so he's not going to actually get out this way. I do love how they do tie this back later on.
Yeah,
With the
no, I was
season.
going to say, I think when they tie back everything
Yeah,
in this movie, it all works really well.
I do love this moment though, where he thinks he's going to get out, and then they do the close up of the lock,
Hmm.
knowing that all hope is lost, and then him kind of breaking down right here, where he's been defeated before, but I think this is a new level of defeat
Yeah,
for
because
him.
I mean, now he's on a timer. You know what I
Yep,
mean? Because from what the kids have told him, it's just like
he's a
he's
naughty boy.
he's a naughty boy, so now he's just got to wait. And I would say this is the first time that you ever actually get that sense of like that he is a scared child at this
Yep,
point.
because he's maintained his composure pretty nicely throughout this whole thing. There's always been a something to kind of focus on to say, oh, I might be able to get out of here. But at this point, this is really where he does break down. You can be like, oh yeah, this is like a kid we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Hey Finn, I like how subtle it is too. It's just like, do you think that it's because the connection that he has with Finn that he doesn't lose his memory and lose all that stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I think also maybe the fresher you are in terms of death, the more you remember a lot of things. Because I'm assuming Robin's death is pretty fresh. So
Yeah,
I
it's like
think
maybe a week or two before Finney, I think it was.
so. It's like I still think he remembers everything. Like Bruce says, it's losing your name is like one of the first things you lose. I mean, they never really give a time stamp on how long it is. So I really feel like it's so new that he still remembers so much of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Also, what Finn has on there, that is what they call a baseball shirt.
You said this is all one take?
Yes. It doesn't cut until he gets close to the phone, and then he's cutting the cord after his call.
I think you'll be happy to know that one of my buddies, John, actually hit me up. He's going on a date with a girl, and they wanted to see a horror movie for Halloween, obviously. So he was like, "So Halloween Ends or Smile?" And I was just like, "Smile, for
Oh, there we
sure."
go.
Like that's no question.
You're like, Smile won something for the year then.
This is the last call, Finney. I love that line too. Because yeah, he's gone through every single kid at this point. So yeah, and just how they kind of hide Robin behind him,
Yep.
and then he just disappears.
And then that's where they talk about, they had to fly the actor back. So by the time they were ready to shoot, Scott Derrickson got the set early and just kind of started mapping stuff out. So they were just feeling it as they went. There wasn't really any thought out blocking for that scene. They were just finding what works.
Just using every little tactic that he can.
Crafty bastard.
Mm-hmm.
And I had seen something that Stephen King wrote this scene or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know. Again, I just read the headline for it, so I can't confirm it 100%. But I think they had said that Stephen King wrote this scene for the screen.
Why is that?
I don't know. I don't know if it was just
Seems kind of random.
yeah, if it was just more so for a novelty, adding the raincoat and all that
That's
stuff.
true.
Um, just to basically say, hey, you know, uh, my dad wrote something in the film, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know really if there was any method to that madness other than to get a headline that said Stephen King wrote this.
Good point. Once it's all coming together here, I love this sequence also because then you know we're on an even shorter clock than we were before.
And in this scene, like again, where the sister's role is very limited, in a short story, she has an idea, or she's I think maybe walking down the road, and at the end of the street, she sees black balloons caught in the phone wires, and that's how, you know, she kind of finds it. She doesn't even find out where the grabber lives actually, but it's just kind of one of those things where it's kind of trying to tell her
Mm-hmm.
where the grabber lives. So it's like this part I feel is more effective, seeing all the ghost children outside of the house, and it really kicks off these events here.
I love the song choice here for Pink Floyd. I think it
Oh,
works too, and
absolutely.
it really bleeds in with the score because again, with that kind of synth wave kind of stuff they're using there. Max is now piecing it all together,
Oh, he knows it's that cocaine, connecting all the dots
connecting all the dots for you.
to get the brains moving.
You ever need to figure anything out? Do a few bumps, do a
There it
line.
is. You put out 3 lines, get yourself a 20, because the ones and fives are too dirty. Um, and then it gets the brain going. Oh, he's thinking something suspect. What if just like the grabber mows her down as he's driving
Oh
home?
my god. Yeah, I remember this all kind of piecing together here and just in the theater sitting there like, oh my god, what is going to happen? And I know for a minute there, when he gets down these steps, I was like, oh man, like What if the grabber? What if like the grabber, like the resolution with that is no resolution? What if he just, we see him off in the distance, seeing the cops all swarming his house, and he just drives off,
Yeah, I think that would
and
have been
that's it.
interesting, actually.
Mm-hmm. Could have left the story with that idea of like Finn can never really get over it because he knows he's still out there.
Yep.
And so like this whole like hero angle of him surviving, like he becomes the kid who survives. See, if they would have done that, then I think he would have warranted a sequel.
Yeah, I think that's the way you end it to get a little more out of it.
Mm,
I think you could have even ended it, and then as he's at home, his phone rings, and
yeah.
um, uh, I think the cathartic experience that you have at the end of this film is worth that definitive
Oh
end.
yeah.
But
No, I much prefer this.
I would have loved to seen them kind of also leave it open for a sequel. I think that would have been fun too.
Yeah, I just remember what a reveal here.
No fucking way. What a actual honest response that would be too.
Uh-huh. Oof.
Got him. Oh, Max.
And they still say supposedly the only axe chop in the head on screen we've ever seen. I
Yeah.
still don't know if that's honest or not.
Gonna have to do some in-depth research.
Mm-hmm. And this was another thing too, where it's like I remember people's theories for this. A lot of people said that they thought that the stuff we were seeing with Finney would have been like days or weeks before
Yeah.
in this moment, so it would have been implied that Finney didn't survive. An idiot. But he was my
His
idiot.
delivery is just wonderful.
I know. I mean, he's so good in this movie, man. We gushed about him for 2 hours in the podcast,
Oh,
but
we
yeah,
did.
it's like seriously, he gives a very memorable performance here, which is why it shocks me that Ethan Hawke really has no interest in playing villains. He
Yeah.
says, it's just like, dude, why? Like, you're so good at it. They're such meaty roles. A special Finney.
Oh man. What a pup.
How'd you think this was going to go down? You think he was going to use Samson to kill him, or do you think that it was going to be to dispose of him?
Yeah, I think the grabber was gonna injure Finn and then use Samson to kind of torture him a little bit.
Mm.
Like
Awful.
I could see him trying to have Samson eat Finn, but Finn's not dead yet. But see how fun would it have been if he was a cat guy and the cat just came downstairs.
Yeah, he's just got a little tiny cat. That
He's
would
like,
have been
this is gonna
great.
really hurt. He's gonna scratch you.
Deflate the entire tension of the film.
Cat's just rubbing on his legs. Oh, I love how in pain but also angry the grabber is.
Mm-hmm. The very animalistic side of him
Yeah.
too. And again, you said that was just an addition from Ethan Hawke there to have him screaming when the mask comes off. But it's
Yeah.
like it's such a smart addition to it. Adds
Yeah.
another layer to that character.
And really makes him vulnerable at that time, adds into how the ending plays out here. And again, once that phone starts ringing, you know it's gonna go down. You're just waiting for it.
Mm, boom.
I
Another
love
great
it.
callback to that line.
Yeah. I remember Scott Derrickson said Ethan Hawke's like, I could just slide on down here and disappear. And then he's like, yeah, go for it.
I'd love to see those two working together on set.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
I'm
so
sure they
good.
have a really like great relationship with each other too. Another great callback with the meat. So he uses every single thing that was recommended to him.
Like Samson's like, I don't even care. Let me just get something to eat here.
Mm-hmm.
And I like this unveiling too, where it's the two
Mm-hmm.
separate houses.
No, it's so smart. It's just like another twist that they can add on to it that really
Yep.
kind of brings the whole thing together. I really appreciate it.
And it really shows how thought out the grabber was in some of this stuff in terms of, having a separate burial spot that's so thought out that, it's not just out in the woods anywhere. It's somewhere very specific to him.
Mm-hmm.
Especially thinking, the unveiling is it's right across the street. So you always start thinking, does he ever go over there and just visit these dead bodies? Oh, look at that, right across the
Mm-hmm.
street.
And the van's there the whole time. I like
Yep.
how they intentionally make it so that way you cannot see the van too.
Yep. And like old Max was right about everything, having the little covered garage.
And like you said, really powerful ending. They don't talk at all to each other. It's all just, through their facial expressions and everything.
And it's tough to kind of pace this out, going from one cathartic experience, the death of the grabber with all the kids saying something to him over the phone, and then kind of going into Finn's cathartic experience here with his sister. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard to pace those out and make them both count, but they do.
It's a strong ending, I would say.
Yeah. And then here, where Scott Derrickson said, some people were conflicted, audiences were conflicted, thinking that we're supposed to be forgiving the father here, but he said that's not what we are implying here. That this
Mm-hmm.
is, uh, you know, uh, he still has a long way to go here. He's still a flawed human being, but there are just different layers to these relationships.
And just like again, them saying nothing, and he's just asking for forgiveness. It is powerful. It does show that it's like, I mean, like,
it's still very much those two, leaning on each other.
They're just kids, And this is like the most information I think that we get about the grabber here at this point.
Yeah, and this was actually added in so that I think I had mentioned audiences were struggling with the two separate houses, across the street. This was added to kind of help hold the hand of some of the audience members that were maybe a little confused.
We got Zoe M in the chat saying, "Looking good, fellas." Thank you, Zoe. We appreciate it. And I like this too at the end here, where she's like, "Oh, I thought they'd be big. I thought he would have been bigger." And all the little rumors.
That's a Roadhouse callback, Patrick Swayze style.
Did they mention that in the commentary?
No.
You're just inferring.
I just assume so.
Hey, got to connect the dots somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
That would be my one and only question to Scott Derrickson. Was
if you ever got to interview him?
Yeah. And
then he could just say yes, just to be like, sure.
He's like, okay, whatever. I'd be like, that's the answer I was looking for. Thank you.
Very strong ending.
Oh, I love it. You're curious of what's going to happen next for old Finn.
Oh, I mean, I think that him and I'm sorry, what's her name? I always forget her name.
Donna,
yeah, I think they live happily ever after.
How do you always forget Donna's name? She's
I don't
an
know,
integral part of this.
I've seen the movie like 5 times. Hey, I know you're watching this on Vudu, but guess what's starting next for me?
Halloween Ends.
Yes, let's watch it, baby. Let's do it.
I watched it on Peacock when we were prepping for the podcast, and every time Halloween Ends would load up next, and I'd have to watch Corey Cunningham, because I'd just walk off after the credits were rolling, and then I'd come back and Corey Cunningham's, I don't know, wearing some mask, stabbing a doctor or something.
Absolutely. But alrighty, guys. Well, that's going to wrap it up for our viewing of the Black Phone there. We got 2 viewers in here with us, so very nice here to see you guys filing in.
That's a party.
I know. It's just mostly me and Luke for this one, but hey, it's all good. It's Halloween night. We probably should have suspected, with it being a weekday, some people got work. And then also, some people are probably off doing their own little thing. So
maybe they're watching Monday Night Raw.
Maybe. Getting some stuff for the Fiend or whatever,
I don't
know.
Who knows?
Wish our video could still be up, but thank you, WWE, for, being such swell characters.
We'll get there, maybe.
Oh, yeah. It'll get out. We'll get it out there. We'll make sure that's a priority. We just, unfortunately, we're at the mercy of the copyright holder there, so we have to wait till they respond. So, but if a month goes by and they don't say anything, we're in the clear. We can post it again. So,
see, maybe it's their busy season. They're gearing up, so it'll slip by them.
Oh yeah, we'll see what happens. But alrighty then. I guess without further ado, we can run ourselves the giveaway here.
Oh, let's do it.
I've got all the names. There's only 3 people who entered all this month. So, hey,
better than 1 or 0. So.
Exactly, right? So we're going to let it go.
Listen, this is our first time doing anything like this. So
I got it in a randomizer here. So I'm going to just click spin it, and then I will announce who it lands on. And then, of course, we'll be in contact with you. So,
oh, perfect.
Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. All righty. Okay, and it looks like the winner here is Ted Lear. So
really?
That's pretty out. That's awesome. That's great for him.
That's great.
Yeah, and that makes it a little simpler on our end, actually.
Very simple.
Yeah, we know that he lives in our area, so that's actually pretty cool.
Oh man.
So yeah, so that's pretty fun there. Here's Johnny also entered, and Maximo De La Cruz. We appreciate you guys also entering. We do want to do more of these giveaways as time goes on. Obviously, we're going to try to do one once a year. Hopefully, next year will be bigger. So that way we have a chance to maybe do some bigger prizes or even just, have more entries. And I think that I learned a lot from doing this. I think I'm going to do a different strategy next year to try to get more people involved. Um, Maybe we'll do a thing where we do like little live streams
throughout.
throughout the Splatterthon, and then we can kind of give away prizes during those. Maybe there'll be smaller prizes. Maybe, you know, we'll talk about it. We got a year to prep, but
No, yeah. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, we've had a lot of growth on the channel, but we're still in our infancy here, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
this is the first time we've done anything like this. This is our first October that we've ever, actually been consistent with the podcast. So there's a learning curve here. We just did our first live stream watch along on Friday. So this is only the second one that we've done. So kind of going through the year, building that following. I mean, we've had, like I said, a lot of growth so far. So I can't wait to see where we're going to be by September of next year. And by then, we'll have a pretty down pat in terms of how to kind of do things like this. But, the first one, a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was, we had a lot of ups. We had a lot of things that didn't perform as well as we wanted. But, again, it's a learning experience. It's something that we wanted to make sure that we were kind of, you know, getting better at as we go along
Yeah.
here. And that's something that we're going to keep doing. I mean, like, we're going to keep it up with the channel. That's our promise to you guys. And that's been the promise from the start, is that we're always open to criticism and feedback. And we had a lot of cool stuff. I mean, like, we had the Jason Jenkins interview was awesome. We talked to Elena from
Akron Horror Hounds.
Akron Horror Hounds. Oh, we got Clutter in here, says, hey guys, you guys are doing great. We appreciate it there. It's
Oh,
good to hear
perfect.
from you, Aaron. Awesome.
Listen, why didn't he enter?
I know. Why didn't
What
you
the
enter?
hell?
We know you too. You would have been an easy one to get it to.
It's ridiculous.
I know. Um, but yeah, that's just funny that I was expecting to have to, really get a hold of somebody and track him down, but hopefully he'll respond to us. I think he will. So,
Oh, I
you
think
know,
so too.
yeah. But yeah, no, I'm really feeling it. The link didn't work. What do you mean? It's a video, you silly guy.
What a
Um,
silly goose.
but yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, going through it, like looking at it, like the Halloween series that we did was a lot of fun. Something that we really enjoyed doing. And we'll be doing that again next year. I think that's on the docket. We've kind of talked about it. Where we'll be going through the Cult of Thorn trilogy. We'll be doing
Oh,
4,
man.
5, and 6. So kind of this year we kind of got to gush about Halloween, other than ends. So
Yeah.
next year will be a lot
Well,
of
see, next year we
criticism.
could double dip in terms of the Halloween cult saga and Better Off Dead.
We could do that if you want to.
No, no, I'm
Um,
kidding. Well, we'll make it all separate. We're gonna do just a long form discussion on Jaws: The Revenge for next year. So
I don't think I want to do that again. You're gonna make me watch that movie one more time.
we're gonna dissect it every 20 minutes. That's what it's gonna be.
You son of a bitch, you motherfucker.
It's already
But
committed.
and then we get hopefully we'll have another great show because we've been going through Chucky each week, which has been a lot of fun. That's still going to continue on. So
Yes.
obviously,
Primetime
uh,
terrors will be in full effect, and that's where, you said some things didn't perform as well, but some things performed way better than expected. So
oh
it's
yeah,
kind of like knowing what to double down on. So it's like after getting out of October into November, I mean, things will slow down a little bit, but we're going to be gearing up and kind of figuring out what works best for us and what kind of other content everyone wants to see.
alrighty, and thank you, Aaron. We do appreciate it, brother. I know it's kind of weird, dude. We all worked at the same video store. For those who don't know, the guy we're talking to right now, he worked at Buybacks with us, as we described in our interview that was given, that actually just posted from Super No Bueno. So actually, the guy who won is the guy who runs that. So
Which is
that's
all
really cool
rigged.
for him. I know, right? I feel so bad in a way about it, just
Yeah,
because it's like, man, that's interesting. But hey, I swear you can look. I got the randomizer. I could throw it up here. I'm not going to, but we
we
I
we
could do
believe you,
it.
Dylan.
I appreciate it.
Plus, if there's any shady business going on, just know that Dylan was the one that held all this stuff. So
You can throw me under the bus. That's
I
fine.
just got the mug. I just got the mug, guys.
That's all it was. But yeah, no, this was a lot of fun, and I mean, like, this was a cool year. Um, this was this was definitely a fun thing to do, and it's honestly, it feels great to have this just accomplished, because, like, through all of this, it was one of those things where we were just like, we wanted to commit, we wanted to do something big. We had talked about it for years, trying to get something like this off the ground, as far as like when we were trying to really dive into the podcast thing. But we actually went ahead and did it this year, and I'm just happy that we're on this train and we're moving, man.
It's
And
not going to go off the tracks anytime soon. Hopefully,
no, hopefully not. And I
not
really
going to
got
be
to
like
say
Unbreakable.
thank you so much to everybody who checked out the Halloween movie we never got, the night he almost came home. That was a huge undertaking on my part. That was many, many weeks and months of work. Even down to the last minutes, I was right before I posted that, I was watching that over and over again, and I switched over some clips and everything. So I was working on that literally right before I posted it the whole time. And it's we got about 14. I can get you an exact number here. We are at 14,834 views on that. Definitely our biggest video yet. And I'm already working on the next project, and I can at least tell you guys it is going to be Halloween related. So
He's really doubling down on this
I
Halloween
know
business.
I didn't think I was going to go back to Haddonfield so soon, but I've been reading those taking shape too, or listening to them through an audiobook. And yeah, there's a lot of good shit in there, and I really want to dive back in. But I'll be going to other franchises sooner rather than later. So I'm trying to make those kind of a semi-regular thing, where as long as I can get through them and get the footage in, and it doesn't kill me to do it, I'm going to try to get those through. And for those of you who did get to check out the Bray Wyatt video today, I want to pimp that out for Luke here, because I thought that was awesome. That was something that, for both of us, we didn't get to see any of that. So it was just like the process of it. It was all just, we worked on it ourselves. So I didn't see it until it was done, just like you guys. So, the fact that it was finished in there, the WWE had to come in and ruin our day today, but we will be getting that video to you one way or another, whether we have to completely start from scratch and repost it, or we just have to wait for that dispute to go over. Either way, we're getting that back on the channel at some point.
Yeah, there's already a version already created that could, in theory, go up as long as the thing that has replaced it doesn't fall into the same category. But so there's something out there. We want to try to get the most original version of it out there first. So we're going to see what the good people in Stamford, Connecticut like to say. And then after that, we will kind of pivot if we have to. If not, it should be up fairly soon, hopefully.
Yeah, and I mean, like, at this point in time, it's really just because it was a manual flag that we got this time. Yesterday, when he was posting it, like before when it was privated, it was all the bot that got you
Yes.
every time, right?
And
So
then
yeah,
this one was the manual. So someone
somebody
was out
from
there.
that camp saw it and said, "Oh, you guys are stealing from us," when we're not. But I mean, we're gonna figure out how to get around that. That's just the unfortunate thing about doing this kind of project, is that you do have to use a lot of footage and things like that. And some people are stingier than others. I used clips from like 7 or 8 different movies, and I didn't get a thing. Luke uses a clip from like what, a fucking SummerSlam or something, and that just
WrestleMania.
WrestleMania, and that just fucked everything up. And it's just like that. You never know with this kind of stuff, so it's a mess. But either way, that's going to get up on the channel at some point here, and I'm excited for those who haven't seen it to see it, because it's really exceptional work, and it was really gaining some traction today. Like we were even saying before we started, I think that thing would have we could have capped the night off with that being at a little over 300, maybe even 400 views.
Yeah, so
So that was
we,
really gaining some traction. But
yeah, we'll get there eventually. We'll see what the future holds for it.
and as long as we can figure out how to get around that stuff, we will definitely be continuing that series as well. So
Yes, there's a lot of ideas in my brain for the concept of slashers and suplexes, but we will see again down the line of where we can take it and what will be allowed to be used.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, other than that, you do have some other video essays you were talking about possibly doing that aren't just slashers and suplexes,
Oh
right?
yes, yeah. So slashers and suplexes is hopefully going to be an ongoing. I don't want to say bi-monthly, but somewhere in the realm of that, I would like to continue to work on. But I'm gonna try my hand at more of a inform video essay as well, because there are a lot of unproduced scripts out there. There's one that's probably going to be showing up on the next Splattercast. That is something that I do have a very big interest in to kind of think of where that franchise, well, standalone film, but potential franchise could have went if they had gotten everyone on board.
Yeah, that would have been really cool to see. I know which one you're talking about because that is also you got some of that info from our buddy Jason Jenkins at Phantom Limbs. So
Yes, I did.
yep, and that's always again a great source for anybody who's interested in unproduced scripts or anything like that. That guy kind of has the market on
He's in the
that one.
know.
He is. But alrighty, guys, I think that's probably going to wrap it up for here. Again, Ted Lear, you are our winner. So if you're watching, feel free to chime in. If not, we're going to get a hold of you via your comment, and then we'll probably reach out to you on your social media as well. So we will be getting to you one way or another this Splatterthon mug, as well as a copy of the Black Phone. So congratulations once again. Thank you to all who entered. And thanks to everybody who watched and who kept watching. Some of you may be watching this after the fact. And again, we appreciate it. And we're just going to keep chugging away and bringing content to you. Like we said, it's not going to be as frequent as in like every day as like the Splatterthon is. But, we will obviously be bringing you videos weekly and the podcast bi-weekly. And then I think we're going to be doing some kind of a town hall here pretty soon, posting a little video up, just kind of going over our thoughts on what we learned from all this and where we want to go with the channel. So we're definitely talking about shaking a couple things up. We're going to get back to the drawing board here after we have a little rest. And we're just going to see where we really want to go with it. But we have a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline that we're super excited about. And yeah, we can't wait to show that to you guys.
I mean, it's gonna be so weird not ending these videos holding up a copy of the Black Phone.
Right? After a month long of doing it.
Yes. So, I mean, a lot of fun here. We're at the finish line here for the Splatterthon. Weird to say. We've always been saying, we have weeks, days still left. Now we are here at the finish line. Pretty successful in terms of subscribers, just audience interaction in general, and the quality of the stuff that we've put out. I think we're both pretty happy about everything, and I think the audience is as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I do want to reiterate again, we started this month with the plan. I think when I got that announcement out there for, the Splatterthon and everything, we wanted, to reach 100 subscribers. And, as it sits right now, and I'll just do a nice little fresh refresh here to double check, we're at 464 subscribers. So you guys completely slaughtered it as far as showing up and, doing everything here. It was awesome. So we can't thank you enough.
What a big win.
Absolutely.
Splattercast. So.
All righty. Well, I think that's it. We're going to cut it off here for you. So if you've been watching, thank you. If you want to go back, this is just going to post right away. So you can go back and see the best highlights from the Black Phone there. If maybe you're tuning in a little late, but you want to watch our little commentary on it, you can watch it right away, start the movie up, and we'll all be hanging and talking together. It's probably about 10 minutes worth of BSing at the start, waiting for things to get going. But once we start, we don't stop. So there you go. All righty. Well, unless Luke, you got anything else for the folks?
Nope. Again, successful month. A lot of things going on. Can't wait to kind of recalibrate and change a few things, only for the positive, obviously, and kind of redirect us to some of the content that we're going to be pumping out here in the next few months.
Awesome. All righty. But until next time, I am Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.